I just wanted to show how it looks when I don't resize anything. It's not like I actually have to resize anything. I just need to click one button and that is. I don't even know how to explain it. Yes, I have a different canvas size or something like that. When I transition into the exact same scene, it fixes itself. But yeah, anyway. Good evening. Uh, Streamer mode is enabled. Usernames have been ranked. Thank you so much for that. I needed that. Philosophication? Is that a term? Am I making it up yet again? Let me see. Yeah. The process of bringing something into the realm of philosophy. Ah. So yeah, philosophication is a word indeed. Amazing. I think not to insult anyone, but something makes me feel like people just don't know how to use their language. I don't know. Happens, I guess. Ah, can happen. Part of life. But, ah, if it matters, we can close this. I guess I should, I should test. Yeah. And I don't know, it has been a long while. Just 1 second. There we go. Wait, does it? Yeah, it sounds good. There is a mosquito, man. Oh my god. No, wait. I killed it. Yeah. Amazing. No more mosquito. No more annoyance. Ah. Um. What else? What's next? Like, I don't know. Wait. Do I need? I should probably write it down. What I wanted to talk out today. I. That's never a bad idea. I forget every single time that I talk out something. I forget. It should be like a necessity. Yeah. What day are we in? 489 awareness. No, that was like 482. That's the last note I have. Today title is, yeah. Childish. Childish what? What a right question. What's also mucho texto. Childish dreams. No, I. It's included. I already include that. Avast. Avast. It's like a very niche meme. Do you have something like that? It's like Avast. The virus database has been updated. It was like a very popular meme. Like la base de datos de virus de Avast ha sido actualizada. Yeah, it was so funny when that happened. I think it was like at some point we had Avast installed on every PC here, so everybody knew that sound of, oh yeah, Avast virus database has been updated. It was a while there when, what is it? Antiviruses were normally included. Also, sorry, welcome, Crispian. Hope you're well. Childish, sorry, I touched the mic arm. Does that actually make any sound? I would assume so, no? It probably transmits something like a vibration or something. Oh, yeah. Childish attitudes. It's all the same thing. Okay, there we go. I think, perhaps I'm wrong. I think I wrote down everything for today. But anyway, we have like 2 minutes still. I everything today. Amazing. It has been so long. I I was thinking about that. It has been funny. Not funny. It has been I guess yeah. Comedy is the best way to mask the sensations that are not otherwise so nice to feel in life, I guess. But it's funny that if I don't stream, I probably speak like less than 1,000 words on a normal day. Man, ah, so yeah, we needed to stream. Uh, I needed to speak. I have a right also to be heard. Something like that. Also, wait. How is this ASMR? Yeah. No, wait, you can't hear that. Fuck. No matter what's wrong with this? Does this only detect like voice waves? What's the problem with this thing? You can't hear that. I have so many bottle caps, metal bottle caps, and you can't hear them clanking together because the mic doesn't pick it up. Give me a second. Let me save them. Wait, can you hear this? I fucked around and found out I spilled every single one of them. Ah, we are starting like 1 or 2 minutes later. Ah, fuck. It was all for the bit? No, it wasn't a bit. How much I regret my decisions. Fuck. Give me a second. I'm almost done. Almost. Give me how many? 20 more to pick up, but like 30 seconds. Give me a second. I don't know. It's like it sounds so incredibly surreal that out of nowhere I feel like it's necessary to have proof of what are you saying? Why do you have a box full of bottle caps? Metal bottle caps. Yeah. Great question. I don't know. I like it. Fuck. Okay, I'm done. Sort of. Sort of. I will deal with the whole problem later. Ah, man. What a what a funny experience. I am not doing any other bit for the rest of my life, man. I hate this. Anyway. Well, like 6 minutes late or so, man. Happens. Anyway, good morning. It's a good day to ponder the orb. No, to ponder. I had some stuff. Sorry, I was. Give me a second. There is like one weird. What's the word? Those things that float in the air that aren't really like anything else. They are not hair, but are similar to that. You know. Um, True. It was on the mic anyway. I was saying good morning, good evening, good night. We are finally congregated. Not a, another here. No. It's the what's the word? Let me let me Google it. It's fluff, lint, pass. Those three words. Lint. Yeah. It has like all of them. All of those are useful for the same thing. Fluff, lint. There are more, but you get the point. Something like that. The when you have dust vanish. Yeah. I remember, yeah. Something like that, I guess. Yeah, also probably. But I had it on the like mic cap, and I was like, I should actually remove it. More than I tell myself that I don't have OCD, but it kind of gets me nervous to see it dirty, you know. Uh, I I will guess that I don't. Anyway, that's not the point. You're not here to talk about OCD. Today, I had an idea, like not so much an idea, but rather something that I saw. We can very easily, easily, quote unquote, easily. It's not really easy. It's rather one of those things that we can discuss in some way, because in the end, it's one of those topics. Let's say, I didn't change the today thing. Let me do that. But true. Well, why is it so big? Why was it so big? Okay. Um, I was saying that yeah, this thing basically. I was thinking, and despite all the stuff that we have talked out through time, I guess somehow, coincidentally enough, or yeah, somehow it has not happened that we have ever tried to mention at all the whole concept of childishness, and I guess it does possess enough information on it that I believe it deserves to be talked about. It's one of those, I wouldn't say weird, but rather secluded parts of our own life that we tend to not at all mention. It's like something that we supposedly everybody should know, but at the same time, unavoidably, it's not fully, I wouldn't just say covered, it's not fully understood in a way. It's not so covered, it's not so filled with absolute knowledge, so to speak. And I believe, yeah, that we can have something like that we can try to discuss it. Why? I don't know, because I do I have an explanation that I can give? I I guess, yeah, the most simple one would be I have been in the latest studies that I have been conducting myself, I have been recurringly finding myself reading out stuff that is related in one way or another to the different aspects that are related to that eagerness of childhood or that young spirits that are out there and that childlike wonder and such on one hand, and on the other the immaturity that brings youth and the incapacities that we face because we are so eager to experience the entire world and whatnot. And all of that, I think I have, yeah. The easiest explanation is I have recently, more than before, found it as a recurrent theme, I guess, in my studies, and I think I can say something about that. Yeah, the point is, I I feel like unavoidably, even when you read something like that, let's say, you don't really find anything that comprises as much information. It's it's complicated to actually have information available from a more, I wouldn't say philosophical standpoint. It's way too much of a non-category to say, oh no, yeah, we don't have philosophy for children, but or we don't understand the philosophy of a kid, something like that. It's not that kind of idea, but rather, I feel like unavoidably, strangely enough, it doesn't have an essence to it in which we have normally, we can easily refer ourselves to information available to the whole aspect of topics that have to deal with that. We don't really tend to talk about the whole aspect of, yeah, what could be characterized, I guess, as childhood from a mental state more than anything else. And it's it's not something that has no impact on life. It's something that I rather find weird because unavoidably it's something that everybody goes through, no? So it should be far more. It's not documented in terms of, oh yeah, we don't understand how kids work, but when you have enough sensible explanations for things, when you're a children, so to speak, when you are trying to learn, when you are trying to grow up and whatnot, it's very difficult to find enough, I guess, universal explanations for things. Not that, oh yeah, I needed something like a metaphysical question of sorts that I ask myself when I am a kid, like, what happens when we die? No, 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 no. Something simpler, like, okay, can I understand what am I doing here? Why do I get to be who I am? Why would it matter to me to be the person that I am to some degree offered to be, that I'm capable of being and whatnot? And all of those questions are not just present in the mind of a child, unavoidably, there is, yeah, the discussion is in a way flawed when you say, oh yeah, the kid is the one who thinks out all of that stuff. It's, if there has been something minimally well done lately, it is the return to the desire to always capture that essence and be capable of bringing forward that interest that something like a child possesses in the rest of the world. Not because an adult cannot have anything like that, but rather because in reality it's quite difficult to actually have the opportunity to see the world with those eyes when you are so caught up in the rest of life, so to speak, when your biggest worry is to reach the end of the month. It's not so easy to think about or to believe that you deserve even to think about other stuff. The whole aspect of how when we grow up we become more serious and we allow ourselves to be submerged in that narrative of, oh yeah, my life is comprised of these things and nothing else, and my life needs not any other change. I have found enough things that keep me busy, and all the other parts are not necessary to look at, I guess. And not only that happens in a way in adulthood, but also, yeah, the other aspect of, we seem to have said that nowadays we need something like that, but from this aspect of, well, yeah, in in modern times it will be good to have more of a kid's spirit when it comes to how we confront life. It's, I wouldn't say directly a philosophy like, I don't know, you can always cite the stuff like stoicism base. I guess most popular school of thought that people can easily understand in a way. We have something like that, and you don't need to think that deeply to see that, yeah, this is directly related to philosophy in a way. This does pertain somehow to philosophy, but is it a philosophy to try to be more childlike, to allow that interest to be capable of having those qualities? I feel like in a way, unavoidably, it's even negative to decide to seclude the question only to this field. I will, I will say, based on the little bit of life that I have got to experience myself, I feel like it's necessary to have that spirit. It's a weird usage that we do of the word childish spirit and the eyes of a kid and whatnot, and the energy of a children and whatnot. It's more like not to be so much of a tamed soul, not to be so much of a. It's not lacking in discipline even. It's just letting oneself have more of that intensity that otherwise would make our life in itself quite tasteless, And you can call it, yeah, oh yeah, it's particularly only pertaining to this land of, I find myself having a childlike wonder towards my desire to have a goal, for example. But it doesn't need to be only like that. It's something that could be more generalized. It's nice to have the interest to be active physically, not just mentally. It's nice to have the desire to play around, to not to lose oneself in the vice of gaming, I guess, or something like that. Also, is it
Lloyd
muted?
family.
Ah, welcome, Flora. Thank you. I what are we talking about? Childlike wonder. That's the topic, I guess. But yeah, it's what have I been saying so far? I don't know. Basic explanation of where the idea comes from, and yeah, how to try to think about it. Actually, I do believe it's way too much of a complicated notion in terms of what does it actually mean. Why will it need first and foremost? Why will it need to pertain only to the realm of philosophy in a way? In the end, it's something that could very easily have influence and exist everywhere else. It's something that can be part of life. It's something I don't know. I have an example. I have an example. I am. It's not that I'm trying to hold back from giving it, but it's complicated to feel that it's an appropriate one. I feel like it's more of a disparaging one in a sense, you know. But I I always hear the whole aspect of when you are in your late 20s, when you are in your 30s. I will go as far as to say when you're in your 40s, you are you can't be physically active anymore, and that I find it directly related with the attitude of no, yeah, we have grown up. We are grown ups. We cannot have anything of that sort happen. Cannot be a person that has any kind of activity or any kind of intensity in any other aspect. You need to only seclude yourself to the realm of the serious business, so to speak. And it's in that slow acceptance of the message that, oh wow, I have grown up, that somehow the other invisible consequences come. It's not like the body itself. You reach 20 and it instantaneously starts decaying, or what's the common mark, biological mark, like 25. Until you're like 25, you're still biologically maturating, so you have until then to get your whole body ready to exist. Then after that, you start even faster or more seriously dying than before. No, it's it's a weird way of seeing things. The whole aspect of, oh no, yeah, I I have become a grown up. I cannot anymore deal with all of this. It's I find it, yeah, I guess the world itself is painful to see somebody say, no, yeah, you know what, I am 30 years old and I am suffering from the physical pain from stuff that I could be trying to do something about. It's, unavoidable, it's always annoying. It's not like doing something like exercise feels good. But that's also why the whole other aspect of, I prefer to say it from the side of childishness, so to speak. It's it's more understandable from that side. It doesn't need to be something so serious. It's not so necessary. Oh no, yeah, I have to follow a trainer that tells me what I need to do, and I need to be completely straight in the way in which I drive myself, and I need to make sure that I do only the things that I am being taught, and I have to do it between these schedule hours. It's it's weird to see life like that, and on one hand, I can understand that it could be associated with being a grown up. But on the other one, it's also like, at least in the present day, we don't live anymore like we used to 10,000 years ago. You see somebody like an actual children nowadays, and they do have like a lot of organization in their whole existence. Maybe they themselves don't have that much of a control over it, but they still exist in an incredibly scheduled life between the whole aspect of having to forcibly go to have your regular doctor or checkups and then having to go to the school with all of its the whole educational system is incredibly, what's the word, compartmentalized, and it's not at all something that it's not in itself organized. It's strange to hear. Oh yeah, you're like a kid because you're unorganized. No man, you're unorganized. Full stop. I am pretty sure there are kids out there that have more organization in their lives than me to some degree. I study with far less seriousness, perhaps with far less rigorosity than some kids. The term kid, the term infant in that way, I don't feel like it's that much of an appropriate usage. It's more like, oh no, yeah. Let me. You're such a balloon. What are you saying, man? Why are you saying random words? Since when did we accept random words as I guess as insults like that? It's not only it's easy nowadays to hear something like, oh no, yeah, you're acting like a children, and what does that even mean? In a way. But do not even try to consider that, yeah, in which way am I saying the things that I'm saying them? Isn't it nice to some degree to be active? Hyperactivity is more draining. Dear God, what do we need to have? No activity at all? Such a slow-paced life existence that it all feels incredibly dull, that it all lacks the color, the vibrancy, those flavors that only the more electrified of the events have. That's what it is about. That's what growing up is about. I'm pretty sure it isn't. Even if it's, oh no, yeah, but you have to learn to deal with that. Is it? Are we sure that's the goal here? To grow up to become a boring person? The whole aspect of I grow up to realize that I have become what my younger self perhaps might completely hate in a way. Is it necessary to think like that? Isn't it harmful? Isn't it unavoidably? There is one aspect. There are many, but there is one aspect that unavoidably deserves mention in terms of the bad stuff. To be so incapable of controlling yourself. To say today that, oh yeah, I want to be an astronaut. Can I become an astronaut? And tomorrow wake up and be like, I am going to be a firefighter. I am going to dedicate myself to become the best firefighter that there will ever be. And so on and so forth for the first 5-10 years of your entire life until you finally understand the point of I actually need to settle down in one thing. I can do something well. On any one thing that I actually can focus myself on, I might be capable of doing it properly. That's the wonderful benefit of growing up, of maturating, understanding that actually the way in which you utilize your efforts generates consequences that might in some way align with the things that you're aspiring towards, I guess. And the issue is, as an infant, you can't actually measure how that works. You can't actually put that into any kind of sensible word or understandable. You don't have the capacity. It's not that you don't have it. You have not yet experienced what it is to be alive for so long, to understand that, yeah, today I work a little bit on this thing, and I gain some degree of ability. I become a little bit better at doing this today. And tomorrow I do the same thing and I keep doing this for the next 5 years. And when I look back, I have become so much more proficient at this than what I could have ever before realized, simply because I dedicated myself to it. You can't experience that unavoidably. That's the consequence of being a child. But that is not only related to childhood. It's not an implicit message that you grow up and instantaneously you realize, oh wow, I now understand that I can actually make things out of my own actions and obtain the goals that I am aiming myself towards. If I apply myself to the acquisition of those things, it doesn't happen in that way. It doesn't come as a granted thing. It's not like, yeah, every single human being who reaches 18 or what's the other 21 becomes then instantaneously aware of such things. It will be fantastical. It's not like it shouldn't be the case, or like, oh no, yeah, we cannot have that. No, it will be actually fantastical, I guess, if everybody understood that. So many more problems would be solved in the world if people understood that, yeah, wow. And surprisingly, the day in which you dedicate yourself to something is the day in which you are going to see results. The issue is doing it for long enough to actually see them. And I guess, on a different note, being capable of ignoring, it's... Can you even relate that to childhood? I guess you don't understand. Let's say it like this. You don't understand. A child doesn't understand that not everything that everyone around them says is as important. And that still, that doesn't come as a guarantee. You don't grow up and you instantaneously realize, oh yeah, you know what, everybody is not always right. Everybody might not always be saying the most appropriate thing to me. Everybody might not be always doing something for my own sake, but rather for something of their own. That doesn't come as a necessity, or that doesn't become a granted benefit of growing up. It's the same thing as the other one of, yeah. You're immature because you don't understand how much your efforts actually matter. You're immature because you don't understand how much others, the opinions of others, the things that others say, it's not just out an opinion, it's something, it does still, you classify it, it is still an opinion, but it's that other aspect of, a basic example, your mother one day comes and tells you, you know, you should not be doing this because this is bad. For you, it might not be an opinion. It can be an opinion. It can unavoidably be classified as an opinion, even more in incredibly subjective matters. Like, yeah, you know what? You shouldn't be petting the dog before coming to eat with us at the table. You can perfectly do that. You just need to wash your hands. Simple enough. That's an opinion. But are you actually going as a child to be capable of identifying that it is an opinion? It's, semantically speaking, it can be classified as something of that sort. But the reality is, the killer doesn't possess the capacity to actually discern what is important, what isn't, and what between the realm of opinions and the lessons that are being told to them and what not truly matters. But the same thing still doesn't mean that you grow up and instantaneously realize that everybody is doing something for you, for the sake of your own self and not for their own sake. You don't become a grown up and learn to always recognize what is the message that will benefit you the most and what is the thing that will help you the best in your efforts. It's why is the equation, yeah, when you're such a child, when you're so immature, you have these mistakes. I it's not in an insulting manner, but I know people that are 50-year-olds that are less mature than some kids that I have seen. And it's not in a way of, oh, wow, no, look at those dumb people. No, man. Why is the equation like that? It doesn't make complete sense in a way. It's. I always find it strange, yeah. I guess my point is also, unavoidably, it feels like that. It feels like it's something that we can so easily utilize. It's one of those broadest of categories that we have created to talk about things and everything that once the idea, the thing that I see is, I kind of already explained it, but when you grow up, you have to understand that you need to hate absolutely anything that is related to childhood. You don't, you have to not have any quality of that sort, because unavoidably you are doing something wrong. Even, even in stuff. Is there any actual example? Even in stuff, yeah, like childlike wonder and whatnot, that still is for an older soul and whatnot something that unavoidably gets always criticized and talked about as the worst thing ever because you don't understand that you needed to settle down and to not dream so big and so widely and so passionately about anything, and that you need to confine your emotions to more simpler realms of existence and whatnot. That's yet another strange equation that we somehow do in that sense. But point being, we are taught that that is the case and that you shall always despise that, but the category doesn't fully make sense at the moment in which you compare it to what actually happens. I don't know. Kids are to some degree diligent. Oh wow, yeah, unavoidably the kid itself is not as absolutely diligent as a grown up who can, I don't know, wake up by themselves. You know how happy one can actually be that their kid doesn't decide to throw a tantrum every single day and that they can follow, even if it seems like basic enough instructions like go to school and stay there for 6 hours straight, 4 hours. Even if something like that seems basic, it isn't putting up any resistance to some degree. There is so much of an interest in discarding what could otherwise be categorized as an achievement. I don't know. Is it too much to say? I don't think it is too much to say. It's perhaps, let's face it from this aspect, perhaps one of the most wonderful sides of growing up is having to hear so much trash talking towards the youngest of generations. It's so wonderful to see something like that. It's so incredibly annoying to actually have to deal with, oh no, yeah, the next kids, the new generations are all so cooked. I don't know, man. I am pretty sure I was incredibly fucked myself to some degree when I was a kid, unavoidably. Everybody commits some mistakes, but to be so willing to discard them entirely, it's one of the best methods to use the same idea of, no, yeah, you grow up, you have to despise anything related to childs, is to, in the end, completely cut off the ties, cut off the connection, the possibility, the verge, and the chance at all to ever have anything like a human conversation with that child, because in the end, what the fuck are I want to talk about with that child? They are so stupid because they don't understand the world like me. Wow, I don't need to talk with that child. Why? Because they are tiny. I am such a wonderfully grown-up person that I cannot afford to explain anything to a child. I can do it to an older person. I can do it to an equal of mine. But dear God, don't ask me to actually talk with a child, because I cannot actually give you a reason. But don't ask me to do it, because being around children is, well, wow. I don't know, man. I guess, yeah, point is, it's tiresome. I feel like it's one of those instilled in societies. I feel like, yeah, I was saying it before. It has been instilled. I can probably trace it for almost as long as we have been here. The only, okay, there is one annotation that I have to make, that is pertaining to, oh yeah, before there wasn't such a notion of childhood, and there wasn't anything as representative of what was that state of life in which we were infants and whatnot. There was an era in which, surprisingly enough, yeah, children weren't not as important for any other category, weren't regarded as their own particular stage of life. They were the whole aspect of, when you read about it, the whole side of the miniature man, and not much else. That whole aspect, it is true that it existed. Wow. Big change that we had from that to still segregating them so much. It's wonderful to see how much, in a way, we have allowed ourselves to completely close off what is the doors to adulthood from those aspects. And I don't know, yeah, there is incredibly big red flag inside of that sentence. There is unavoidably a whole field that doesn't pertain at all in the mind of a child. It's unavoidably something like a corruption of sorts, but it isn't just related to what can more easily be associated with, oh no, yeah, you have to be a grown up to actually consume anything like this. It's not just adult content, it's also all the other stuff. Adult, quote unquote, adult substances, and all the media that also exists. Not just the more crude, like pornographic stuff. There is also, I don't know, unavoidably, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't tell, I think it's incredibly logical or mentally insane to tell a kid, yeah, you know what, you should go and read something like Dostoevsky. No, man, unavoidably not. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't watch something like, what's the, like the movie from Spielberg that was set on the Second World War. No, things are, to some degree, at the very least, categorized based on some qualities that pertain to still something that is quite unclear. It supposes that you will have developed yourself properly enough. It supposes that you will have become a better person and a more appropriate one to be capable of dealing with all of that once you grow up. Is that the case? Is it so easy to not be moved to tears just because you have reached, oh wow, you have 21 or more. Now you can watch the movies. You don't need to get your, you will get your ID asked. You don't pose a problem for the rest of the world if you actually consume this content. That's the easy demarcation, but there is no actual consequence in terms of, yeah, you will actually be capable of dealing with this. You can watch. Is that crazy to say? Is it something that actually nobody else experiences? You can completely consume so many horror movies, so many, not just horror, I think the most basic stuff of the screamer kind. Once again, you can also consume dramas, the most crude of dramas. You can binge on them, and you can also very easily give yourself a very harsh day. Same as what I said before. You can still consume something like the Russian literature, novels. You can dedicate yourself to the consumption of grown-up media and very easily screw yourself over. Is being a grown-up truly something that gives you less of a problem? I don't think so. You can still become addicted to all the substances that are available out there. The legality of, yeah, you are 21, you can easily buy alcohol. Is that truly so? Just because of that, you understand the risks, the consumption, and the ways in which it actually affects you. No, it's not like you have a moderator. You have now unlocked, out of nowhere, all these pieces of knowledge that let you be a functional human being. Once again, you can have 15 and be more capable of doing stuff than somebody who has 50. And I don't know, it's a proper example. Somebody who is in their last days. It's a gruesome example, but it is still a good one. Somebody who is absolutely addicted to substances, who lives on the day-to-day basis of the consumption and nothing else. Is that truly a much more grown-up person than something who can live their life, who can follow a routine at 15? Is that truly so the case? Just because of that, one is better? Just because one is a grown-up and the other one isn't? There is something that makes one, in a way, the winner or something like that? I am pretty sure that's not at all the case. I don't know, man. I feel like, yeah, it's a whole strange realm, and I haven't, as I was saying, I don't know, as I started when I said when I was presenting the idea, it has been present more, even more lately, all the stuff that I have read and whatnot, but I don't know, man. I don't actually hear much clear stuff in that sense. The whole necessity to talk about stuff in that way is not only strange, it's tiresome. One of the people I always tend to mention this guy because in a way he does actually serve the function of being somebody who you can learn from his mistakes. When you read somebody like Emil Cioran, more popular example, when you read somebody also like Schopenhauer, you find inside of the whole realm of philosophy this aspect of, oh no, yeah, because in the end, the, the childish spirits are the ones that are eternally pursuing those things that are so meaningless. The kids, the young souls are those who don't understand that having dreams is one of the most meaningful things to do in life, and those who actually decide to go out there and ask the world to join their cause are those who are the most stupid, infantile ones, because this world is so harsh for those of that kind. It is to grow up and to realize that all of that doesn't matter, that it will never lead to something. Is it truly the case? Is it truly related to being an infant? I don't feel like that's the case. I can more easily utilize random categories myself also. I can, in a very same way, in the very same way, sorry, in which I can create strawmans to attack non-existent objects and to attach random qualities to it. The very same thing can be done with being a young spirit, a very soul and whatnot. Is it at all related with that? I don't feel like it is so. It's more like, yeah, you know what? I cannot actually tell you to give up. So, if you have these qualities, it means that you haven't actually grown up yet. So, you need to keep on doing the work to actually grow up. I don't know, man. So, let me drink some water. And I don't know. I, in a way, yeah. I would, unavoidably, messages, it matters. It does have a place. I was, I was saying, and I strayed away from the point, my bad. But I was saying, there is something did happen. There is one thing that has been slowly occurring lately that has been becoming more and more present, so to speak, and that is that, yeah, we have finally allowed to some degree the whole aspect of you. It actually is good to have that childlike wonder. It actually is good to look at the world with that spark in your eyes. It actually is necessary to be capable of having hope for things. But I don't know. I've. It is a beginning. It isn't the complete thing itself. Still, it doesn't mean that we actually understand everything that it means. It's, if there is something that I find frustrating, I guess it's the whole aspect of the world itself. This is tiny detour. The world itself is entirely composed of the symbolic things that we experience when we decide to live life. What the fuck does that mean? It's the concept of many of the stuff that happens carries other values with it. It's the whole message embedded within the message that you hear. It's the whole discourses upon discourses that affect what has created what lands in front of you. It's the whole, in a way, the unavoidable consequence of having been such long lasting creatures in this planet that, yeah, somehow we have so much culture to refer ourselves to that much of the stuff that happens you can finally understand only after you sit down and you learn about it. And what is the association between this and being a kid? Something wonderful that happens that I actually find disgraceful to lose is the whole aspect of, and you know what? One of the best things that I see is the desire to talk about things, to be capable of communicating, of showing others what things mean, not supposing that you understand, that I don't have to explain to you, that there is no need to communicate. The final conclusion that you have done yourself, that I have done mine, and that we are somehow absolutely cognizant of everything that might go on here and at any other possible conversation that we will ever have, that you don't need to worry about what I will say because you will get every single part of it. And that if you don't, you will do your own work at finding it out. The whole embedded message of you grow up and you become capable of recognizing more things. Are we truly so sure about that? I know so many people that are incredibly incapable of demonstrating, saying, speaking out loud the aspect of, you know what, that you're telling me that today my smile makes you feel as if your inner fire was once again rekindled with one of those most energizing goals of life. Do you even understand what that means? No. Are you going to ask me what that means? No. Are we actually getting anywhere because of that? No. But what are we? We are grown-ups, so obviously nobody needs to ask for anything because we are capable of living our own life, every single one of us. How can we ask for anything if we are grown people? How can we do such a shameful thing as say, now, yeah, you know what? The symbol that you're using, I don't get it at all. The thing that you are using to try to convey an idea to me, I don't get it. Can you explain it? That's one of the things that I feel like is missing from infancy. When you're a kid, it's people get to be a lot more lenient, at least those who understand that you're children gets to actually teach you stuff and gets to actually show you directly what the stuff means. The whole aspect of removing the metaphors from the world so that you can understand the literal concepts and what's not, and so that you can impose into an image that before had no other symbol, that had no other idea behind it, and a new significant concept that now allows you to see it with new eyes. That happens far more easily when you're a kid, and far more recurrently. It is something that we're capable of doing. The kid has the capacity to say, yeah, I don't understand. And even I wouldn't go as far as to say, oh no, every single grown up is capable of treating kids like that. No. Not I already said that before. And on the other hand, even more, one of the wonderful things that happens inside of that is the whole aspect of also, and kids can teach one another. It doesn't imply that kids are always right. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying the capacity to actually have that, I guess, you want a word? Empathy. The capacity to actually understand that, yeah, you might need to sit down and tell the other person what something means. What is the message behind this one symbol? What I see your meme and I cannot laugh at it because I don't get the shock. Can you explain it to me? We can do that when we are younger. When you are older, you don't get the meme. Bad luck, brother. Good luck next time. But I don't know, man. I feel like, in a way, it doesn't mean that we are still capable of actually understanding it properly. There is still, I said before, there is still flaws, but for all of the existent ones, we have already done such a horrible job at creating others, at imposing onto it things that are completely out of place. It's something that deserves to be important, big word, reevaluated. That needs to be revised. Why? Unavoidably, because it does play an important part. I said it before. It is something that everyone at some point had, even if now we have become a lot older, even if now you hear something like, yeah, you needed to be more like your younger self, and you fucking cringe because you cannot react in any other way, even if it's stuff like that happens, there are still parts of us that can operate along those lines and that can allow it to actually do something for us, not just be confined in this realm of, oh yeah, we're all adults. Truly? I don't know, man. Is that the case? I don't see. In neither realm, I see completely functional people I might find here and there some of those, but they are such rare cases that they are more like an exception than an actual subset within any of those categories. It doesn't matter if you're a grown up or if you're a kid, if you get to actually live a life that isn't enjoyable, has nothing to do with all of that. It's not because you're a kid, your life is going to be miserable, or because you're a grown up, your life is going to be miserable either. It's a different realm, and it's so much of a weird way how we talk about such things. I don't know. Let me check the notes. I guess, yeah, I, I knew I was missing some stuff. There are some handful of things here. The whole aspect of the feelings and the emotions, the whole, one of the, I guess, I said there are consequences. One of the consequences that does come with being a kid is not possessing enough understanding about emotional regulation, self-regulation, and whatnot, behavior regulation in general, from the whole aspect of emotions to the whole other subset of attitudes and ways of conducting oneself, given the different situations that might arise in life. That is something that you slowly learn, but still, same thing as before. Does that imply that every grown-up understands how to handle themselves around certain places? Big question. Best example. You learn to manage your emotions once you grow up. Does that mean that most grown-up people don't suffer from depression? Are we sure that's the case? Where is it? Interesting question to ask. There is supposedly a mental health crisis based on that same premise. Then where is the depression? In the newborns? You're trying to tell me that? You want me to believe you that? I don't know, man. And same thing also with the whole aspect of what has to do with possessing hopes, possessing dreams. It's quite on the contrary that the younger versions of ourselves are far more capable of dreaming big and wide and savagely and without doubting or thinking or second guessing themselves or asking if dreaming is such a bad thing to do or if actually looking out there and wanting to have one of the biggest things that any human could ever aspire to come true for them might be too much to ask for or to aim towards. That doesn't happen that much when you are young. That is one of those and another consequences of growing up. No, yeah. You have to appease that inner that untamed beast. You cannot dream, so you cannot. What I already mentioned that it's the whole philosophical even association, justification, rationalization of, you know what, you do this thing, you're going to see consequences, horrible consequences. You should never in your whole life actually want to have a simpler existence. You should never want to have a bigger goal. You should never want to have something that truly matters to you. You can only have that set of things that we can all of us describe as meaningful. The rest might be only for your worst, so to speak, not for the best of you. It won't do you any good. It will only damage your operation and whatnot. It's horrible. I don't know, man. And there is like way too much a discussion. I have already talked about all those other things that pertain to, I guess, to the more, I said before, the more philosophical aspect. There is still one that does, I said before, the literature that I have been consuming lately, it has been a recurring theme, mostly also, not just from the aspect of the, the infants and whatnot, but also this another thing, the inner child, the gift that we all carry with ourselves. What I kind of alluded to it before, the whole aspect of you also grow up one day and you have to confront that past image of yours, the day in which you were a kid and said, yeah, I wanted to do these things, compared to your present one person who has to say to that kid, you know what? I killed all your hopes, I killed all your dreams, I gave up on all of these things that we said before were meaningful. That whole aspect, that's taken to the extreme, however, the whole aspect of that inner, it's a it's a concept to some degree. It's far more useful to simply understand. Yeah, unavoidably, humans require cohesion between what was their past, their present, and what might be their future self. If you want to think about it, even if it sounds an abstract idea, you might even already try to portray your older self. As much as you have the inner child, you also have that inner grumpy old person that lives inside of you, that will be judging all the things that you do now based on what might be the future that you end up giving to yourself. It's not so much of a wild notion, because it's the same concept, but just applied for a more observable thing, that is the past. You can at least already understand what happened before. You might not be capable of predicting what might come next, but you know what you said when you were 5, when you were 10, when you were 15, when you were 20. You understood what you wanted at those ages, and you can bring back those memories and say, ah, yeah, I remember in those times when I said that I wanted this. I remember when I was during these times going through these situations. I remember all of this stuff. And I remember when I dreamed of these goals that nowadays I don't pursue anymore for different reasons. And it's the whole, there is fundamental notion inside of this. When you read about that, it's first and foremost and marked between the parentheses of the most common thing is not only that you don't, we have a tendency to not look at that. We have a tendency to not at all try to think that something like that does exist, because somehow it's hard to actually believe that, yeah, wow, unavoidably, every single one of us had a past. Wow. So, what happens? You live your life without giving any single fuck about what happened before. So, you have to, one day, it's not like you have to, one day you wake up, you have nothing else going on, you decide to turn off yet again the TV, the computer, do something that you have done out of the most vague instinct ever, and the moment in which you least expect that, you end up being assaulted by that memory of, ah, wow, it happened to me before that I actually said that I wanted to do something completely different, even if you don't want to think about it. The whole wonderful aspect of what remains in that other side of the mind that gets brought forward, even if you are not willing at all to think about it directly, consciously, that will happen, even if you don't want that to happen. This is reflected on the inner child. So, why does that matter? Because, yeah, the common occurrence is people live their life like what happened before doesn't matter. I said I spent my well over 10 years while I was a kid, drawing every single day, trying to be a minimally good artist, a decent artist. I dedicated myself to, even if it was copying, learning how to draw, and even if it was what others drew and nothing else, I wasn't capable of having my own original creations. I have spent so much of my own life doing that, and one day I simply gave up, and never again I thought about that. And one day, just as I gave up, that same memory comes forward of, ah wow, unsurprisingly, that same topic, which remained unattended, now is a good time to talk about. Now is a necessary time to actually focus on, because in the end, indeed it happened, and indeed something did occur according to that. The question is, what do you do with that? What can you do with that whole aspect? How can one try to, quote unquote, solve it so that it doesn't pose itself as a trouble anymore? Because, yeah, when you read the literature, is in the whole inner child is first and foremost and marked in the damages that we inflict upon it. What I said before of, we forget that we have a past. Incredibly easy, therefore, to actually not at all remember that, yeah, you wanted something before. You never gave yourself that conversation. Unsurprisingly, you're a person who thinks by itself. You also deserve to actually make sense out of what happens in your own life, even if it is your own life. So, you never did that. You keep on carrying towards the future what is that those memories that at some point require attention, and at some point they finally come forward, assault you, and ask, okay, what happened? And it can be far more debilitating if it happens forcefully, if it happens out of nowhere. It's the whole aspect of, ah, yeah, the inner child is something that comes forward in the person. No, it's a whole cohesion that always exists inside of every single human being. You can manage something like that, and it doesn't have to come as a problem, as something that haunts your existence. Why why can we only worry or think out stuff if it is posed as a problem? Why can we only worry perhaps when it is too late? Ah, yeah, I will worry about this now that I have been reminded of all the mistakes, that I have been given yet another flashback to what was my youth and what was that completely different person who, to some degree, I betrayed. Why do I need to suffer that instead of willingly trying to encounter something of that sort? Do not be so submerged in any kind of annoying and unnecessary pain of that other sort. In the end, that's the point. It doesn't need to become an issue. It's so weird to see it all only conceived as a problem and nothing else. What I was saying before, we are starting to do a minimally good job with the idea of the childlike wonder, wonderful, incredibly amazing. The work is not done. We get to instill that in the culture. The work is not finished. And surprisingly enough, that's not enough. And surprisingly to nobody, yeah, there are still more things to keep thinking out in regards to all of that. But I don't know. Also, it is raining here. Did it start raining? Am I losing my mind? Give me a second. Perhaps I think it did. Anyway, it happens. Yeah. Yeah, that was my whole presentation. I think I don't have anything else to say. I don't know. There is a final line. That whole, to some degree, it has been already present enough through the whole conversation. But let me try to be with you more directly, clearly. The whole conception of what I have been hinting at it. The whole being a kid is bad. Being having those childlike qualities is horrible. You need to grow up. Therefore, they instilled by the society, by the mainstream discourse, the notion of, yeah, you know what? You should actually aspire to become a grown up. You should aspire to mature. And the way in which all of that is weaponized so much against those stages of life, basically, how it becomes the tool, the whole carriage for, yeah, you know what? Unavoidably, how will a kid ever feel content with what they get to be themselves if you are constantly being assailed by the concept, by the reminder that you are in the worst time ever of your whole life? Only once you grow up, you will actually enjoy what you are. Only once you have to do Only once you have to struggle with all of the adult responsibilities, your life will make some kind of sense. And only once you find yourself suffering from all of those things, having to struggle to pay your bills, having to struggle to make what's the expression? Months to reach the end of every single month to be capable of getting something to eat that actually sustains you. Once you find yourself in that state, life is going to be so much wonderful. Once you have all the possibilities of all the substances and all the drugs and all devices available to you, you will understand how much of a wonderful life it is, the life of a grown up. Once you are tempted at every single turn of a corner by all those oh so wonderful freedoms of adulthood, you will understand how much it matters to be an adult, because otherwise there is nothing good that will show it. That whole aspect of, yeah, how it all ends up standing out feeling like it's a heresy of some sort to be a kid for way too long. And the whole message of, yeah, you know what, you have to actually remove that. It's The point is unavoidable. It's horrible, man. It's incredibly horrible. But that is to some degree, yeah, unavoidably. We are message is always, supposedly, we're all of us here adults, so we shouldn't be worrying out at least that part, supposedly. We're capable of surviving that. I guess, I don't know. You want one of the many concepts that remains in the compendium of things that are associated with the inner child and whatnot is the whole aspect of getting to understand that sometimes you need to look back at the inner child and say, yeah, perhaps I mistreated myself during those times because I rushed ahead towards being an adult. Perhaps I was even forced to be one. It doesn't matter which condition was it, either willingly or unwillingly. I ended up reaching this state far more rapidly than I needed. Now, whatever the final concept still is, maybe I can actually give myself the opportunity to try and think out this thing, knowing which I don't feel so tortured by the reality that, yeah, this notion, this event does exist in my life, and this mistake that I committed in the past can be in some way mended now. And I can perhaps one of the most important words in that whole literature. Then after doing something that lets me heal the world that I created, look past that as it stops calling for my attention so urgently and worry after that, then stop being so much in my own past and look at what matters now in the present, so that the continuation of the rest of my life isn't as burdened by something that I decided to never look towards. I don't know, man. Something like that, I guess. But yeah. No, yeah. I guess I am satisfied. It was everything, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't feel like I have anything else to add to this, at least right now, so I'm happy. I'm content with this. I can I can call it yeah, actually. I can say that it was enough. But yeah, I don't know. Tomorrow? 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 Stream, I guess? No clue. I have to consider what will be the stream for that. I actually have I am so tomorrow we are sloppifying ourselves yet again with a game, but it's all good. This was wonderful. I said it before. Yeah, I said it when I was beginning. I kinda hate actually being so much silent. I need to stream. I need to also stop being my own worst enemy, as they will say. So tomorrow we have a stream supposedly. Yeah, as always, thanks for everything. It has been a very good day. Thanks for the time, for the patience, for the interest, for all. It was yet another good session. And yeah, as always, remember to do your part. Be happy. Allow yourself to have that inner child. Live a little more. Let let things impress you as they did once already. See the world with those eyes, and let yourself be marveled at the reality of this or already astonishing world which has so much to show to you, if you are willing to actually see any of that. And yeah, until next time, and even if we don't get to have a next time, it was still wonderful. Thanks for everything, and also, yeah, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do your part. Yeah, attend to your responsibilities. Good night.